All right, looks like we're live. We're getting ready to do our 2022 Internet Marketing Plan webinar. And if you're just now tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, just want to say welcome. We're super pumped. Jeff and I are going to be walking through all the steps in our program today of exactly how to dial in your marketing program, how to triple your new patients by getting your internet marketing right. So for those of you that missed this webinar, we did it back in January. Some of you maybe watched the replay. We're going to be going back through on request because so many wanted to see that. And so we're going to dive right in. And really, our goal is to give you value that you can implement in your practice. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to dive right in. So what we're going to cover today at a high level, we're going to be going through this presentation very quickly. So if you got something to take notes with, grab some coffee. You're probably going to need it. It will help you grab the things that you're going to want to implement into your marketing program. So we're going to highlight a few things. Number one, we want you to set your own goals for the rest of 2022 and make sure that you have the 3 fundamentals in place to get the most return out of your marketing program. We're going to talk about how you can optimize your website in order to actually get it ranking in Google. We find that so many websites look nice, but they don't get results. So how can you change that? How can you get ranking in Google, start getting leads from your website? We're going to talk about the top channels and the latest trends that we're using here at the Leading Practice in order to get our clients in the top 3 in their market, the leading practice in their industry. And we'll walk you right through how you can develop a custom action plan in order to do that. Now, a complete marketing plan involves a whole lot of things, right? So all of these pieces and even a few more are necessary in order to get the desired results. So we're going to dive into each of these things. A conversion website, what does that look like? What is SEO? What part does it play? What does an ad system look like? What kind of automation do you need to have for your practice to be able to nurture and engage patients, to get them to come in and actually book appointments? How can you go after high value, quality patients that are going to keep coming in instead of just getting the one and dones, right? So everybody wants that. And we're going to walk you through exactly how you can do that, how you can leverage social media. And then also with the conversations piece, reputation management, that's all about simplifying the day-to-day management of your practice. We don't like any of our clients to feel like they have to spend all this time managing all these leads, and their office staff, practice managers have to spend all this time nurturing and engaging patients. They already have enough to do. You have enough to do if you're a doctor treating your patients. We want to be able to have all the marketing running smoothly, all the engagement and the nurturing that needs to happen behind the scenes so you can really just run your practice. Now, before we get started into the rest of our program, we just have a request, okay? If you're tuning in, you want to get the most value out of this webinar, you're going to need to do some key things. Number one, you're going to have to turn off notifications on your cell phone, get off of Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is you're on, except for the stream that you're viewing for the program. And if you're a chiropractor or functional medicine practitioner, that's really who we work with. If you're serious about getting better results this year, then the next 60 to 90 minutes at the most is going to change your life. So we want you to tune in. It will be worth your investment. I want to highlight that this is a no pitch video. So we're not going to be pitching our program. We have a little bit at the end, a special deal for those that are interested. Really, we're just giving away value. We're going to give away all the strategies, tips, and tricks that work for us and get our clients to dominate their market and make them the leading practice. Now, if you stay until the end, we are going to give away a big package of handouts, okay? So it includes a marketing checklist, some things that will help you go through your marketing, do an audit. We're going to give away a swipe and deploy template that has landing pages, conversion funnels, review generation, all the things that you need that works with an app called MyDC. If you're not familiar with it, it's what we use to run all the automations for our clients and streamline their marketing program. We're going to give away all of that stuff at the end. So stick around and we'll make that available to you, as well as things that will help you streamline your SEO and your ads and all of that with your practice. I'll give you just a little bit about me. If you've seen my face, I'm sorry. We do a lot of marketing, and you're probably receiving emails from me and seeing my face on social media. Just a little bit. I've owned and operated a digital marketing agency for about the past 12 years. We're an associate member of the California Chiropractic Association. So if you're familiar with that, we now work exclusively with chiropractors and some functional medicine practitioners. Okay, so we're really focused, hyper-focused on your industry, if that's you, and that's what we focus on. And so with that, we've been able to develop a proven track record, and that gets results. Okay, so we work with practices all across the United States, from West Coast to East Coast. We find different markets. And really, we've been able to tailor our program to fit just about any geographic area. So that's my background. Let's talk about what we do. Our program is designed to get a 400% return on investment on your marketing program. So we actually encourage our clients to measure and track those results. We want you to see that when you invest $1,000 with us in a month, you're going to get $4,000 back in a return. And that's what moves our clients to stick with us month over month, year after year, and to continue working with us. So question for you, and I'd like to have you put it in the chat if you don't mind. What's the hardest part about marketing your practice online? What are some things that you find to be a pain point, something that is a struggle for you personally with your practice when it comes to your marketing? What's the hardest part? Please leave a message in the comments box down below the video, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Leave a comment. Let us know what's the hardest part. So I see a few things coming in right now. Booking after redeeming an offer, right? So you get all these leads coming in, and they redeem an offer, they click an ad, they go somewhere, but they never book an appointment. They don't become a patient. Huge problem in this industry. What should my pricing be? How much should my discount be? Another great question. It's figuring that out, and it can't be too low, it can't be too high, or it's not going to get results. Which social media platforms should I use? That's a great question, right? Because well, it depends on your audience, right? So which one do I be using? Should I still be using Facebook, Instagram? Should I make a move to TikTok? Should I try using LinkedIn? Which one is going to benefit me? How much should I spend on my website? What's involved in having a high converting website? How much should I be spending on marketing every month? What should my investment be back into my business? So great questions, guys. Thanks for posting those. We're going to address every single one of those and more during our presentation. So let's dive right in. So if you didn't download the workbook, we want you to go ahead and do that now. You should see the link on your screen. Alternatively, you can use your mobile phone, take a snapshot of the QR code there in the bottom right corner, and it will give you that workbook. You can download it. A lot of key value steps to walk through and dial in your marketing program. So let's start with the why. Why are you here? Why are you interested in getting your marketing program dialed in? Well, maybe there's a few reasons. First, there's so many options, and we find it difficult to know, where do I spend my budget, right? Because one marketing professional will tell you it's all about SEO. The next one, it's all about social media. The next one, it's all about ads. Where do you spend your budget? Who do you trust, right? There's so many different options. We're going to attempt to clarify that by outlining the program that you need to be running, and then you decide the answers to those questions. Another question, where do I start? If you're just getting started with your practice, or maybe you're just coming out of school, or maybe you've been practicing for many years and now you're seeing the shift in the climate, right? We just talked to a doc this week who he's been practicing for over 20 years, and his practice has taken a nosedive. He's seen barely enough patients to keep his doors open despite his beautiful reputation. So those kind of things have to be addressed, and it's where do I start? Who do I trust? How much do I spend? How do I measure the results? All of those questions you need to answer if you're going to make progress in this day and age. Lastly, it's a major investment in marketing, right? How much do I spend? Prices are all over the board. Well, establishing that budget, we're going to walk you through how to do that. It's very critical to getting the results that you need. Others will say there's not much to show for it. We just brought on a client again a couple weeks ago who told us he's been through 4 different marketing companies, and all of them have had the same approach and very little results, right? So he's invested all this money into marketing, but hasn't gotten anywhere. Big problem, right? We need to have a measured return on investment to get the results. So the end result is what? Well, it ends up being a fail, all those things. And the reason why is this: if you don't have a clear plan, then you can overspend, or worse, you can underspend and underperform, right? So that might be a new thought for you. What do you mean underspend on marketing? Well, that's the reality, right? If you don't spend enough, you don't get the quality, and then you end up wasting that hard-earned investment. So what's the solution? Well, let's hear from Jeff as he walks us through the initial steps of the solution to your program. Jeff, help us out.
Hey, thank you so much, Mike. So what is the solution? It's not a simple solution. It can be complex, but as Mike said, we need to break that down, look at all the individual steps, make sure they're working together seamlessly so that you can be the leading practice in your locale. So what do we need to look at first? We need a clear plan with goals, targets, and KPIs, key performance indicators. Those are what we need to succeed. So when we think about what are those, what are their goals, what are they trying to do? The ultimate thing is to bring in leads. We need to generate enough patients so that you hit your targets and keep your practice running. We would hate for it to go the other way. So what types of things is your chief concern when you think about getting new patients in the door? Typically, it's this: money. We need you to have a great return on your investment, because when you think about spending money on marketing, how do you feel? Go ahead and put something in the chat if you want. How do you feel about spending money on marketing? Most people don't think of it as a joyous type of thing. But really, with the right attitude, you'll soon recognize this is an investment back into your business, a key part of growing that business. But that investment, just like any other type of investment, you want a return. You want a measured growth so you can look back and see that was well worth the time and the money that I invested. So we have to be able to track those things. We have to be able to measure them. And we have to then see the return. So when we do all of that, how will you feel? You will feel so much better. What if, though? What if you could actually have one marketing program that's designed specifically for chiropractors? Would that make you feel more comfortable with that particular company? We know that our agency, we used to work with all different types of customers. We used to work with tree services, jewelers, you name it, we took care of it. But we weren't very good at all of those things together because we were so scattered. We found for us that focusing on one particular niche, that of chiropractors, really allowed us to hone everything that we do so that we're the best at what we do. And so when we think about what marketing program would work best for you, think about that. And just think about what types of companies are you going to want to be working with to make sure that they're reputable. Like Mike said, you need to know who they are, trust them, and then see those results. When we do all of that, you will have success. You can maximize your lead flow and hit your sales goals for 2022. So here's the next step, and we'll give it back to Mike.
Thank you, Jeff. So really, thinking about the first step is probably the most important step of the entire program, and that is to set clear goals. You know, Why? Well, the answer is found by looking at what Brian Tracy said. Maybe you've heard this before. Success is goals, all else is commentary. And the reality is we find that most doctors don't have the time to set real clear goals with their marketing program because they're running and managing so many different things. So what are your goals for the coming year? Well, the reality is once you set those goals, that is like getting the wind in your sails. Right now your sales are up, and now you can have yourself, all of your staff, and your entire practice running the same direction to reach those goals. And then anybody that you work with, marketing company, can align with those goals, for example, and now your boat is moving forward. You're heading in the right direction. In fact, there was an interesting Harvard study in 1979. They interviewed graduates and then kind of looked at, where they ended up after that. 84% had no specific goals at all. 13% had goals, but they weren't written down. And 3% had clear written goals with plans to accomplish those goals. Well, what do you think the results were? You fast forward 5, 10, 20 years, the 13% of the class who had goals were earning, on average, get this, twice as much as the 84% who didn't have goals, just because they knew what direction they were going. But even more staggering was the 3% who had clear written goals and a plan were earning on average as much as 10 times more than the other 97% put together. So what does that tell you? Goals are key. So you got to have a goal setting framework, and that's included in our workbook in pages 4 through 7. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, feel free. So you got to have written goals and a plan, right? You got to have your expectations set, how much revenue you're going to bring over the next year, a 1-year goal, quarterly goals, and then break them down into monthly goals. And then at the end of each period, whether it's a month, quarter, and year, you have to look back and review how on track am I into reaching those goals. And then you, of course, adjust and continue moving toward those goals going forward. So what are your goals for 2022? Take a minute. If you've got the workbook, download it, or if you're just taking notes, make a note. What is your revenue target for 2022? What kind of increase are you seeing? So maybe if you're earning, if you're a small practice, maybe you're earning $300,000 a year last year, and you want to get to 4 or 5 or 6. Maybe you were earning $700,000 last year, and you want to get to $1 million. Or maybe you were at $1 million and you want to get to 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Those are clear revenue target goals. And then break down how much is that per month, right? Because it's month over month. We have to look at, am I working toward that goal or not? Then how many new patients will that mean? So in order to find that out, you got to know what your annual patient value is. On average, how many times does each patient come in to visit your practice? How much do they spend with your practice? Once you know the answer to that question, now you can assign a value and you can see how many patients you're going to need in order to reach new patients, that is, in order to reach that monthly revenue goal. So here's an example. You want to grow by $250,000 during 2022. It is possible. Our clients are doing it. How much is that a month? That's a little over 20 grand a month that you got to see an increase. What is your average patient annual value? Maybe it's $950. Average is probably around $1,200 based on what we see in the market. How many new patients will that require? 22 patients per month, right? Simple math. 20,000 divided by 950. I got to get 22 new patients a month. Totally doable to reach that goal. How many leads will you need? Now that's another question, right? Because leads become patients, but not all of them. So you need to know what's your average conversion rate from lead to booked patients. Now, we call that a sales or conversion rate for a different type of business model, but same is true within the chiropractic and medical space. A lead shows interest, and then if they book an appointment, they come in, now they're a converted patient. Well, you have to track that, right? Because industry standard with a basic level marketing program, you might get a lot of leads and you spend a lot of ad spend, but if they're not followed up on, the conversion rate might only be 5, 10, maybe 15%. We're seeing conversion rates much higher, right? So if we get 80 leads a month, we're going to see 40 or 50 of them turn into patients. And that's where you need to increase that conversion. So if your conversion rate is 60% that become patients, and you need 22 new patients per month from our previous calculation in order to reach your revenue goal, how many leads is that? Well, you divide it by 60%, you need about 37 leads a month. And so now you can really start measuring your marketing program and seeing, am I getting those leads in? What do they look like? Are they high quality? Are they becoming patients? Where am I in relation to my goal? Again, if you have your workbook or scan the QR code, you can download a very simple worksheet, a Google worksheet that we've put together, and just plug in your numbers. It will help you do the math on that so you can calculate it and then save that. Put it on the wall in your office. Put it somewhere where you can see what those numbers look like, and then periodically check and see how is your marketing program as well as your practice measuring up to that goal. So what is your goal for 2022? Put a comment in the comments box down below this video. Let us know what your goals are. What do you want to see? What's your revenue increase look like? What's your patient increase look like? How many leads will you need to get there? What is it you're looking for to reach your goals this year? Throw a number in the chat, and we know it will help others too, right? Because we're all in the same boat together. We're all trying to grow our practice and running into a lot of the same challenges that we need to overcome. 40 new patients per month. All right, totally doable. We just hit 59. I didn't want to steal Jeff's thunder, but we're easily getting more than that for most of our clients. Open a new location. Great goal, right? Because if you, once you grow your practice, you reach capacity, you in your marketing program is driving in those leads and patients effectively. You're getting a good return on your investment. Now you can start training other doctors to take over and start running other locations, right? What does that result for you? Well, it's more vacations. One doc said the other day, I just want to play more golf, right? So whatever it is that you like to enjoy, that's how you're going to get there, is by streamlining your marketing program. Now, a complete marketing program is very important. What's involved in that? Jeff, can you help us out with what's involved in a complete marketing plan so that these guys can lay that out for this coming year?
Absolutely. We're going to go actually step by step through each of the features of this wheel to give you our in-depth strategies as to what you can do to build out your marketing plan so that you have a well-rounded marketing plan. It's not lopsided or one-sided, but it runs smoothly. But before we did that, we wanted to run by you a client case study that we have. This is a real client that we have. His name is Dr. Adam Jacobs. He runs SF Custom Chiropractic out of San Francisco. And we want you to, as we watch this video, pay attention to two things. He's going to be down in revenue. He's going to talk about how his practice was suffering. See if you can find the answer to this question. Did he have time to spend in marketing his business himself? And then also, see if you can determine how soon into our relationship did he record this video. Let's watch and hear the answers.
Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Jacobs of SF Custom Chiropractic. Prior to 2020, my business was booming. Everything was going really well. Pandemic hit. We took about 25% reduction in our collections and business. So I wanted to start off 2021 with up the game in my marketing, and decided to look out. And I found the leading practice, who has been great so far, 3 months in, and last month we had our best month in a couple years. So I love that they have a dashboard that has all the different leads that come into it, and we can communicate easily with possible clients and our existing clients. I love that the communication with the leading practice itself is very easy to do, and they're accessible, and they listen to my goals that I'm trying to achieve and ideas that I might bring to the table. And so far, so good. I would recommend them to anybody that has a small business looking to grow, either in the healthcare field or whatever else. And so thanks so much, Leading Practice. Appreciate your help.
All right. So did you notice what he mentioned there about when he made this video? He was only about 3 months in when he made this video, 3 to 4 months. And he had, did you recall, his best month ever that he's had. So just take a look at some of these numbers. When Dr. Jacobs came on board, he was averaging about 32 new patients. Here we see March 2020, just when the pandemic hit, through July of 2020. Not too bad, but again, he really wanted to up his numbers. So this is the number of new patients that he had starting in March of 2021, 59 new patients. That's basically double this. Could you imagine what your practice could do with 59 new patients? And it wasn't just a 1 month high, but look at that average. Definitely an increase in new patients. What else did he see? Besides a 74% increase, his number of office visits went up. See, it's not just marketing to get new patients, but it's also helping your existing patients come back in again, having additional visits. That is more revenue for your practice without spending anything else, without any other advertising. Almost you could say, and look at it as free money. So please let us know if you think this is valuable in the chat. Go ahead and post a comment. We'd love to hear from you. He had a 43% increase in office visits, and he said that becoming the leader in your practice in the local market doesn't just happen by chance. You can't wish it, but just like Mike mentioned, you have to have a goal clearly defined, write that down, and then have all those metrics in place so you can measure how you are doing in reaching your goal. That is truly essential to your success in having an effective marketing strategy. So next up, we're going to be talking about having a high conversion website. We'll give our attention back to Mike.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. So really, we're going to dive in again to a little bit of the technical stuff that you're going to need to know. I promise I'll try not to get too technical on you. We want you to stay awake for this presentation. But one of the key elements, really kind of the foundation, is making sure that your website converts, okay? And that, believe it or not, is a big problem, right? There are so many companies out there selling low-end websites that don't convert. And what's the problem with that? The problem with that is we drive all of our leads into our website. We hope that it gets traffic on Google. We might have landing pages where our ads send people to, and then they get there, and then our website isn't good enough to convert them, right? Big problem. We just talked to a doctor today, actually, Jeff and I did, and he said he's got a brand new website getting built in the near future. It's about to get launched. We said, okay, great. What's it look like? It's on a mom and pop shop, do-it-yourself hosted popular platform. I won't mention the name. Not at all going to ever turn into something that ranks well in Google, right? It needs to be next level. So what's involved in a website that converts? Number one, it's got to be set up to convert, not just an online business card. So have that mentality going in. Pages 13 through 15 of the workbook highlight some elements that are absolutely necessary to get a patient to buy into your practice based on what is represented online. Now, there's 6 essentials that we're going to highlight. This is kind of a little screenshot of some key elements that make a website high converting. What do they look like? Well, I'm going to run through them real quick. Number one, you got to have fast website performance, right? If the page takes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds to load, not only is it going to kill you with Google because Google looks at that, but also people aren't going to stick around to wait for that, right? They've already moved on to the chiropractor down the street, and that's a lost opportunity. Second, professionally written and optimized content for service areas. So it's so often we're reviewing websites and they look great from maybe an amateur perspective, but we look at it and we see all kinds of things missing. There's no title tags, there's no header tags, the content is wrong, and it just doesn't send the right message to Google, who is watching that site, in order to get it ranking. Number 3, you got to have live Google reviews embedded on your site, right? So not testimonials. People don't trust those as much anymore. So really live Google reviews that automatically feed in, that are clickable. You can actually go and see what that Google review looks like on Google. Hugely helpful piece of converting a website. Clear calls to action for booking an appointment. You got to have a simple, easy to find, standout message, right? That to book an appointment. So we like to use buttons for that stand out. Click to call phone number, website chatbot, chat widget. People like immediate answers, immediate contacts. Easy way for them to book an appointment, see a calendar, see availability, whether it's a real or not, it doesn't matter. The important thing is that they feel they're requesting an appointment from you based on your calendar. It gives them more commitment and they're more likely to show up. Next is automated follow-up, right? So you can't just have a patient that requests or submits a web form that doesn't get followed up on. Often we find those web forms are broken, or the email doesn't come in, or no one checks it, or went to spam. You got to have an automated system that we're going to talk about later that really solves all of those issues. And then we mentioned a chatbot, chat widget is a nice added piece that raises that conversion percentage. So is your website set up to convert? Here's a checklist for you, a little snippet from our workbook. Does it load within 5 seconds or less? There's ways to test that. We're going to walk you through. Does it have authentic images and videos, or does it have stock footage from that's on everybody's site all over the internet? You know, people see that, they get tired of seeing those same stock images over and over and over again. They want to see you. They want to see who's going to be treating them, and they want to hear from them and what kind of experience they're going to get. Do you showcase your reviews online? Do you have an easy, clear call to action? That's the piece where they book an appointment, they know what to do to take the next step. If it's difficult for you, it's probably difficult for your patients too. Do you have a chat bot widget? And do you have any kind of automated follow-up? Super critical, right, to have that done. So if you want to test your website performance report, we have a nice ready to go thing that will send you your website speed test, right, based on the popular Google and GT metrics. They're the biggest, most popular, I should say, most common means of testing your website performance. So just go to that link and or scan the QR code, fill out the form, put your website in there, and within probably about 5 to 15 minutes, you're going to get a nice report of your website performance, right? It's going to be graded. It's going to give you some good key indicators, and now you can give that to your web developer and go ahead and start making those adjustments. So we'll give you just a minute to go ahead and do that and enter your website in there, fill out the form. I'm going to go back to the previous slide so you can make sure we don't miss that link. Okay, so go.theleadingpractice.com/website-speed-test. All right, so once you have that report, now you can use page 15 of our workbook, which is to go through and review the website checklist, right? So if you don't have maybe a web developer, maybe you got a low budget, you want to do it yourself, have someone in the office do it, at least you have a nice organized checklist you can walk through and start checking off those items and getting them fixed. They will definitely help your results. Number 2, let's talk about SEO and citations, right? SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's basically the process of getting your website to come up at the top of Google. Citations are the business directory listings that are all over the internet, right? So you got yelp.com, easylocal.com, chiropractordirectory.com. There's hundreds of them literally, but you want to have all of those dialed in as well. So let's see what we can do to make that happen. So first, how healthy is your website code? Now, you might be thinking, I really don't care how healthy my website code is. I care about how healthy my patients are. And that's a good answer. However, Google does care. So you might not care, but if you're getting a score like what you're seeing here, 46 out of 100, Google is not going to recommend your website on its platform, right? It's not going to score high. Google cares about that. It's a robot, and that's what it does. The end result is your numbers for how many keywords you're ranking for, to borrow industry term, is going to go down if your website is not dialed in, right? So here's an example. Dr. Ellswick at Ellswick Chiropractic is a client of ours. He came to us a couple months ago and he said, hey, I'm not real happy with you guys. I'm concerned because I'm not getting the rankings. I go to my competitor's site and they're coming up much higher than I am. And so we said, okay, let's take a look. So we went ahead and ran a scan on both websites. And guess what we found? He was actually wrong. He was using an incorrect method to be able to measure his results. The result was his competitor actually wasn't ranking at all except for 2 keywords for a chiropractor in his market, right? And it's position number 11. So he's on page 2 of that result. However, our client, guess where they're at? Top 3 for over a dozen popular keywords, right? So he's getting the bulk. And so that's why when we ask the question, well, how come you're getting all these new patients, but you don't think you're ranking? Well, it doesn't make sense, right? So the reality is he was getting a lot of new patients and he was number 1 in his market. He's a leading practice. So that's what you need to have. And the other big piece is what you see on the screen here is what's called the Google Map Pack, okay? So if you ever do a search in Google for a local business, you probably see that listing all the time. It usually shows the reviews. You got the map picture, and then you've got the little listings down below it. There's only 3 or 4 of them currently. If you're not in that listing, you're not getting results, right? So the example on your screen is a good one, right? So if you're searching for San Francisco chiropractor, we were actually able to get our client, because he's got multiple locations, we got him in there not once, but twice in the Google Map Pack. So now we just doubled his new patients that come from those clicks because they're more likely to come in through that method. So it's critical. You got to be in the Google Map Pack to achieve a good marketing program. When you look at this page result, we like to ask, which company would you call first? And we often get different answers, but the reality is only one of those companies appears the most on that Google search result page, right? And so in this case, it's Kaufman Chiropractic. They have a Google ad. So that's one stream of new leads coming in. They are in the Google Map Pack with an ad. It's another stream. They're also in the Google Map Pack organically. They're also on the Google Map. And then they're also number 2 in the organic results, right? So that's 5, what we call 5 fishing poles, 5 opportunities for a new patient to click on Kaufman Chiropractic. Now, if you're only there once or twice, or at worst, not at all, you're missing out on the percentages of people who are going to click one of those results, right? And so you see in the orange numbers on the screen, that's the average. Of course, those numbers change a little bit over time, but you can see that 50% still scroll down, but 30% click on the Map Pack. And yes, 14% or more will click on an ad, even though you may have something that you gravitate to. Well, certainly we want to get the biggest, cast the widest net to get the most new patients in the door. Now, the last thing we want to talk about is your Google Business Profile. This used to be called Google My Business, if you're familiar with that. Google just changed it. It's now called Google Business Profile. It's really critical that your Google Business Profile is dialed in, right? You got to have it completed. You got to have it done right. You got to be posting regularly on it to send the signals to Google to get you ranking higher in the Map Pack. You got to have a number of quality reviews. All those buttons that you see underneath the title there, right below the logo, you see how there's a button for website, directions, and then you have call. And then on a mobile device, there's one for chat. All of those things need to be enabled, turned on, where the leads can flow in, because people like to use those buttons. They'll flow in and get connected to your business. And then the end result is that Google's going to put you higher in those search results than your competitors. We're going to briefly talk about link building, and then we'll move on. You got to have a link building program. But what is that? That's links that link back to your website from other platforms, right? So it's kind of a sketchy business. You have to do it in such a way that's not viewed as underhanded by Google, but you also got to have authority backlinks that come back to your page. So we have a great mechanism for that already built into our program, where we include backlinks, and they help drive up the results that you're going to get in Google because we're adding backlinks to your site. Additionally, when it comes to citations, these logos that you see on the screen here, these are all different citation directory sites. Pretty critical. Well, which ones should you be listed on? Which ones do you think are the most important? It's kind of a trick question. The answer is all of them. You don't want to shortcut your citation part of your marketing program, right? You need to be on all of them. And so doing that helps you dominate that piece of the marketing results that you need to get for your practice, right? So part of our program with MyDC, we partner with a company called Yext. And then, of course, Yext is not just a set it and forget it type program. I heard that recently from a doc. Actually, it was a practice manager, and she said, well, we used Yext before, and isn't it just a kind of a set it and forget it, sign up, and what's the value there? The answer is no. It has to be used and monitored and content added to it on a consistent basis in order for it to be effective, right? So someone has to be doing that work manually in order to get the actual results that you need. Now, did you know, I already kind of dropped the ball on this, but Google My Business is now Google Business Profile. So it's important to be aware of that so we don't get confused with terminology there. They also have a new control panel, and it will help you kind of gauge and walk through and set up and complete your profile. But really the key element is what we mentioned earlier. It has to be complete, right? And we have to be posting on it regular posts, social posts, just like you post on Facebook or Instagram, post them on Google Business, and then make sure the content is optimized for keywords. And then be adding photos, turn on your messaging, make sure it's connected to a system that you can check. Of course, we take care of all that for you. We put all that into MyDC so that any messages that come in, calls that come in, well, they flow right through our tracking numbers into your system so you can measure that return on your investment. What else is changing? Well, small businesses can now message their customers in Google search, right? So I kind of touched on that a little bit, but Google's really heavily pushing their messaging platform. And so just what we all needed, another tool to message on, right? Because we don't have enough. Note the sarcasm. But the reality is people like to use that message button, right? I've used it with businesses, placing orders, asking questions. And so if you have it connected to a software like MyDC, and then you've got all your communications things plugged in to that one tool, you don't have to go to all these different platforms to respond and monitor the results, right? It all comes in to one inbox, which is really nice. Now, running ads are a crucial piece of the next part of our program, and they have to be done correctly. If you don't run the ads correctly, they're not going to work for you. So Jeff, help us understand what is needed for a good ad program.
Happy to do that. And we're going to be looking at two of the most used ad platforms. That would be Facebook ads and then PPC ads, or pay-per-click ads, most commonly used on Google. So let's talk about Facebook ads first. There are 4 essentials for a successful Facebook ad campaign. And maybe, have you ever tried to run some Facebook ads on your own? How did those work out for you? Did you see the return on the investment? Did you think that it was money well spent? Most doctors that we talk to, when they try to do it on their own, say they just fell flat on their face and nothing really resulted. Here are 4 things that you really can dial in on to make sure that your Facebook ads work and get the leads that you want. Look at the ad content. And by doing that, it has to resonate with people. It has to touch them in some way and attract them to want to do more with you and your practice. We need to look at the right audience. Did you know that you can target Facebook so that it specifics certain people with certain interests, certain income brackets, certain zip codes or city locations? Messenger ads are something that's very, very important to use, because there you can use that to increase your lead flow, because when somebody clicks on a messenger ad, you can automatically capture all of their contact information. How valuable is that? Now you have all of that. You can message, email them, even call them if you wanted to. And then finally, we have automated follow-up to book an appointment. Mike already talked about how important that is, because sometimes people will start to do something and they might see an ad, but as we all know, we get distracted, something comes up, they move away, they don't take the action to book an appointment. Well, having that automation in place to reach out to them, encourage them, hey, come back, book this appointment, that will help with your conversions. So let's talk about ad content that really resonates with people and attract them. The first thing we have to think about is, what is our offer? We're going to talk a little bit later about a new patient special. Is that good enough? We'll see here in just a little bit. But we want to make sure that the offer is exciting, it attracts, it's engaging, and it's going to motivate them to take action. The design has to be eye-catching. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be designed in such a way that people aren't just going to scroll past it because it looks like everything else that they've seen. And the layout has to be given consideration too, because there is so much clutter. There's information overload in the world today. It should be simple, clear, mobile friendly. You might design something and it looks great on your screen, but how does it look on a phone? How does it look on a tablet? That's what most people are searching in Facebook today. And then, does it have mute-friendly video? What does mute-friendly mean? Do you know that most people, when they watch Facebook ads or Facebook videos, they have the volume off? And if your entire message is just based on hearing you talk or a message, a voiceover, they miss the whole point. So by making sure that it's mute-friendly, having things show up at the bottom, a closed caption, if you will, so that they can still get the message, is very, very important. And then the language, too. We see all the time where practices, doctors, they say they have non-narcotic methods that they use. That's technical terms. What does a patient want to hear who's not in the medical field? No drugs. That's much more simple and friendly to that. So use non-medical terminology and then have a clear call to action. Click here to call. Click here to book an appointment. Let's talk about building the offer. We hear this all the time, and we see this all the time when Mike and I, when we review Facebook ads and we're talking with potential clients, they have a new patient special, and that's what they advertise. But what's in the new patient special? Why would somebody want to reach out and claim that new patient special? Is it obvious why it would, or how it would benefit them? Is it easy for them to take advantage of that? And then next, what prevents them from showing up? There could be a variety of things. What systems do you have in place as a practice to make sure that you don't lose that potential lead? Let's look at a couple of examples. Here is a good example versus a bad example. Which one do you think is the bad example if you had to choose? Number one or number two? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Which one you think is good or bad, number one or number two? It's pretty obvious, I think, when eventually you see that number one is the bad example. It says new patient special, a very nice picture of all the people there involved in the practice. It's genuine, but what's the difference? Why is it still a bad example? What is included in it? What are the services they're going to get? What type of savings do they have? Now look at the good example there on the right. Here, this is somebody who's looking for neck pain relief. As they are scrolling through their Facebook stream, here they see neck pain relief. Oh man, you know what? I do have a little bit of neck pain. And now they see that it's 50% off. What's included? A complete chiropractic bundle, the exam, x-rays, adjustment, and a 10-point holistic health screening. They know exactly what's there. And notice they can click claim offer. There's a clear call to action. So we want to make the case that works. And when we say make the case that works, we want to make the message clear. What is included in your message? Do you offer same-day flexible appointments? Do you guarantee pain relief? Maybe not necessarily after the first visit, although there might be some of that. Why should they trust you? Do you have any money-saving offers? Are there any hidden charges? Do you promise to give them increased flexibility, range of motion? Do you specialize in sports injury relief? All of those things are very, very important in including in that message, but it can't be too wordy. It has to be clear and concise and cover all the points. Let's talk about PPC ads or Google ads next. Here again, we have a good example versus a bad example. And notice one's on top, one's on the bottom. How does Google decide which one is on top, which one is on the bottom? It's based on what's called a quality score, which is a Google algorithm that looks at everything about your ad and determines, is it going to put it at the top, at the bottom, or even at the very bottom of the page? Now, in looking at this, why is the top one a good Google ad and the bottom one not so good? They're both advertisements for car insurance, but do you notice the difference in the ads? The one there at the top for Geico has their star rating. The one at the bottom for Progressive doesn't. The one at the top says that encourages them, see how much you could really save. It talks about how easy it is to purchase, how many followers they have on Google+. Notice they've been in business for 75 years or more. They have millions of people with them. What about Progressive? Not so much. It's almost like Progressive, that ad is saying, hey, here I am. We offer car insurance. It's not engaging. It's not motivating. There's not enough detail there to build trust and appreciation for the services that are being provided there. Another type of advertising is retargeting. And when we talk about retargeting, you have probably experienced this personally. Here's a scenario. Have you ever been on some website, let's say you go to a Lowe's and you're looking at lawnmowers, and you look for a little bit, you're looking at some different things, and then you get distracted or it's lunchtime, you go away. Later in the day, you're looking at CNN or something like that. And what do you see off to the side? You see an advertisement from Lowe's with lawnmowers. How do they do that? It's with retargeting ads. They track you, and then they re-show you those same types of ads. We can do the same thing with Facebook, with Google, but it's not just about getting ads or getting new patients, but here in this case, notice you could reactivate your patient database. That's another type of retargeting. So here, you have maybe how many thousands of patients in your inactive database? Haven't been in 6 months, a year, but you still have all their contact information, right? What if there was a way that you could specifically target them, maybe with a personal message from you as the doctor to come back in? It could even be a video retarget. Maybe you have a certain special if they come back in. What a beautiful way to avoid ad spend and yet still reach out to those people that haven't been into your office in a while. Another type of retargeting is with reviews, trying to drive people and help lead them to leave a good 5-star review for your business in your Google business profile. That is a form of advertising. It works. That's why when you buy something on Amazon or all these other companies, they ask you, would you please rate our service? How did we do? Was our shipping on time? They want that feedback because it works. It helps with that quality score to elevate that particular advertisement. So the last thing we want to talk about is TikTok. TikTok is the future. Are any of your competitors, are they on TikTok? Are you on TikTok? Well, it's interesting. If you try to advertise on TikTok, you very well might be refused. But we have been able to figure out how to break through all of the TikTok red tape, and we have actually been able to get our clients on TikTok so that they can advertise, and they're having phenomenal results. So don't shy away. It does take a lot of work, But we, again, have our systems in place that we've been able to be successful with that. The next thing that we want to talk about is reputation management. What's involved in that? Why is it important? We're going to give our attention back to Mike.
Thank you, Jeff. So really, reputation management is key, right? What does it mean? It means you have to be generating reviews on a consistent basis. Doing that manually, asking your patients as they leave, hey, can you give us a review? It's problematic. It's challenging. You should have an automated system that does that for you without having to pay an additional fee, right? You shouldn't have to buy another piece of software that you now have to set up, and now your staff and your team, you got to be in learn this new piece of software. You want one tool that does everything for you. And that's where MyDC comes in. And the reason is because one of the biggest problems within marketing for chiropractors is unconverted leads. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And that's where the leads call but don't book an appointment, or they book and they don't show, or they show and they never come back, is even another form of not having a good quality lead. So what's the problem? And the problem is that 50 to 60% of inbound leave unconverted, right? We talked about some of the reasons why that happens. And 90%, believe it or not, 90% of web forms, based on one study, they fail to convert, meaning the form, it either doesn't work well, it's buried on some contact us page that people don't want to have to go find, and they're looking to contact you and they can't find a spot, or it just doesn't work. It doesn't send the email into your practice or notify your practice properly, or it worked at one point, now it doesn't anymore. The result is a major problem, right? You got unconverted leads. What's the solution? This is probably one of my favorite parts of our marketing program. It's the automated follow-up, right? A lot of thought has gone into building out our workflows, fine-tuning them, perfecting them for each client, so that now we can take that industry data back and really perfect the automated follow-up. And what that involves is it means that we follow up within 5 to 10 minutes of their initial interest, and then we don't stop there. See, it's not just one call, one text, one response, but then we continue to touch them or reach out to them 3 to 5 times. And that's on average what's necessary to see them actually follow through and book an appointment. Now you might think, well, man, that's a lot. I never had to do that in the past. Well, guess what? It's 2022. Attention spans are like 3 minutes. At least I feel like mine is sometimes. So you got to have an automated follow-up that doesn't put a strain on your practice and practice management team, that will engage these people so that they'll book, right? Because they need to be treated. That's the bottom line. They're just busy and hit with a lot of different distractions. So what's the difference in having automated follow-up versus no follow-up? Well, what we found is no follow-up, you get maybe a 30% conversion rate. Often it's less. That means if you have 30 new patients come in out of 100 leads, only 30 become patients. Well, it's not bad. You still got some revenue there, $63,000 if your lifetime value is $2,100. But with the automated follow-up, we more than double really the conversion rate on average. So instead of 30 patients for that same marketing investment, the same spend, you end up with 70 new patients, right? So more than double the revenue that comes into your practice, more than double the new patients, much more efficient way of running your marketing program, right? Because right now, in this example, there's $84,000 that are sitting out there that's just not getting converted into new patients, right? That's a lot of money. So automated follow-up is crucial. So let's talk about automation, what it takes to make this happen. In a very simple format, if you've ever had the opportunity to look at some of our workflows, we call them, right? It's the flow of the patient. In simple terms, this is kind of what it looks like, right? So they reach out via phone call, email, SMS. They submit a lead form, whatever the case may be. Then immediately they start getting reminders from our system, right? Let's go ahead and book an appointment. What works for you? Here's our calendar. And it's not too much, but it's not too little, just the right amount. And if they book, then we roll them into appointment reminders and confirmations. That's really critical. Now, I know a lot of EMRs offer appointment reminders. We just talked with one doctor today who said, I've already got that covered. My EMR does that. I pay $400 a month for it. It does automated reminders. And I just had one question for him. How does it remind him? And he said, well, text message and email. I said, can those patients respond to those text messages? He said, no, they can't. I said, so if they want to cancel after they've gotten a text message from your office, what do they have to do? He said, well, they'd have to either go online, find our website, or call us. I said, what if they don't want to call? They just want to text, right? People don't have time to make calls as much anymore. And he said, yeah, they'd have to go online, find our phone number, and then I think they can text, but I'm not sure. See the problem? It just added layers of complexity to his system. What's better? Well, better is to have an appointment reminder system that has two-way text messaging, right? You text them, they can text you back. If they cancel, they put the word cancel in the text. We take it a step further, and now we can add further automations to notify the practice, take the steps to cancel the appointment if needed. And it just takes all the headaches out of the booking system. Now, if they don't book an appointment, now there's a lot of other things we could talk about, but let's take the no side. They don't book an appointment and they just never show up, right? They just don't respond to spider outreach. Do we forget about them? Do we just let them go? Oh, well, I guess it was a bad lead. Never know they exist. Well, most practices probably do that, right? They don't even give a second thought to someone who called or submitted a form 2-3 months ago. Well, we do, right? We wait 30 days. And then we send them a nice little message of interest from the doctor, right? Hey, so-and-so, how you feeling? I just wanted to follow up. I noticed you were on our website. Did things improve for you? Or is there anything I can do to help? Just a nice, helpful message to that patient. Well, 30 days later, who knows where they could be? They could be primed and ready to need treatment from you. Well, we don't stop at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. See, we just keep letting them know that we care. They're in our system. And you can bet that increases your conversion rate, right? It's crucial. It makes every lead that you generate more valuable to your practice. And that's really the key, right? You got all these leads coming in. Some companies do really well with Facebook ads, and they can generate these high volumes of leads, but they don't become patients, right? They're not getting no return on investment. And really, once you make them valuable to your practice and you implement the missing pieces to your marketing program, you're going to see much better results. Now we want to touch on reputation management as well. So really, we were talking about marketing automations earlier. Reputation management, why reviews matter. You probably already know this, but let's just talk about it for a minute. Reviews affect actions. So that's a very important little statement there. Reviews affect actions. What do we mean? When people are online and they do a search and your practice comes up, whether or not they click on your name first depends often heavily on the reviews, both the number of reviews and the rating of those reviews, right? So based on our study, those with the highest number of reviews, the highest rating of reviews, they're going to get the bulk of that traffic that's going to there. Now, also, let's talk about negative reviews. Now, it's true, you can't do a whole lot about someone who leaves a bad review on your Google Business profile unless what they're doing is violates Google's policy. Then often you can report them. But it's just an unhappy patient that came in. There's not a lot you can do. But you can do something very important, and that is respond to those reviews, right? Why? Because no response is perceived as guilt. What do I mean? Well, if I go and I see a negative review on a local business and there's no response, no explanation, no comments from the business owner, from the doctor, I'm going to assume that review was accurate. And now it diminishes my interest in that, pursuing that practice, right? So if you start making it a habit to respond not only to the negative, but also to the positive reviews, and you decrease the number of negative reviews that you get, you're going to see a benefit from doing that. Now, what about when it comes to conversations? We touched on earlier the different chat platforms, all the different types of communication. You got Facebook and all these different things. Jeff, help me understand, as a busy practice owner, as a busy practice manager, I don't have time to manage 12 different platforms. What can I do to have all of these things in one place? Help us.
When you look at all these icons around the edge of the screen, you probably have used every single one of those. You've used Instagram. Have you ever direct messaged anybody on Instagram? What about send a message on Facebook? What about called somebody? Obviously. What about send them an email or a text message? Of course. The other one there in the upper right is Google Business Profile. You know, Mike already talked about how Google is allowing people to send chat messages back and forth with that. And likely your business is connected to all of these different platforms. Where do all of those places go? How much time would it take to go to Instagram, to look at that information? Go over to Facebook. Hey, has anybody messaged my business here? Okay, let me go to our text message system and look at that. Same thing with email, voicemail. How do I do that? Time is money, isn't it? Your office staff is paid and they work very, very well, but imagine if they could be more efficient. That is why we love the MyDC app, because it takes all of those different communication tools and puts them all in one location. Not only that, it does it chronologically. So you can see exactly what has been responded to, what hasn't. Everybody who has access to that can see it. Very, very nice system that we highly, highly recommend. A last part that we're going to talk about of our complete marketing plan is conversion in social media. That's important because our media really should resonate with the patient. It should elicit an emotional response. When you see it, does it make you smile? Does it make you get mad? What type of emotional response does it give? And it needs to be authentic. It can't be the stuff that other people have seen time and time again. Let's look at an example. Here are two pictures there on the left, some stock photos, and we've taken the logo out. How many times have you seen pictures just like that? Does that elicit an emotional response from you? It doesn't for me. There's a guy who looks like he's just getting out of bed and somebody who's getting an adjustment. Okay. But how many times have we seen social posts like this on Facebook or Instagram? Hey, come see us. This is what we did. Frankly, when I see those, I think, so what? It doesn't do anything for me. But notice this video here, an authentic video. It's short, and see how you react when you hear it. Make sure I get the right one here. Here we go.
All right, so we're gonna give Isabel her first neck adjustment. She's gonna do fantastic. I'm just gonna move her head over.
That felt so good.
Are you smiling right now? Every time I watch it, it makes me do that. You see, because now the patient is engaged. It elicited an emotional response. Otherwise, if it doesn't, people just keep on scrolling right by it and they don't give it a second piece of information. They don't give it a second thought. So those raw adjustment videos, notice there's no special camera, no special lighting. It was raw, it was real. That's what people enjoy seeing. So we have covered a lot of information today. Well, let's do a brief recap. And Mike, if you could help us out with that and then wrap us up.
Sure, Jeff. Thank you so much. I really hope, I should say we really hope, all of us here at Leading Practice, that you're able to take away some of these things and really implement it in your practice, and it will help you streamline your marketing program. We hope that we've answered some questions. So far, we've talked about all the pieces that are needed for a marketing a program to run effectively. There's a kind of an illustration that we like to use that's helpful, I think, to why we put together a program like this. Why does it have all these pieces? You know, why not just do one or two? And the short answer is it was illustrated in this way. There was a gentleman who went down the beach and noticed a guy fishing in the ocean. And as he got closer, he noticed that he had 8 fishing poles in the water. At first he thought they all belonged to someone else, but no, they all belong to this one gentleman. And so he asked him, hey, sir, why do you have so many fishing poles in the water? How can you even keep track of all that? And he said, well, if I can catch X amount of fish with one pole, I'm going to increase that by 8 times with 8 poles, right? I'm going to increase my results. So it's a difference of taking the fish home to feed my family for that day, or I can take home fish to feed my family and go sell some in the marketplace. Well, really, the point is very clear, isn't it? The more fishing poles you have out there to draw new patients in, the more likely you're going to have success, right? The minute you start lopping off or getting rid of fishing poles, you're narrowing down your opportunities for success. So really, you got to have all those pieces. Feel free to take a snapshot of that, go through and make sure you have all the pieces in place. Now, as we wrap up, I have a question for you. Take a moment and ask yourself this question. What are your top 3 internet marketing initiatives that you need to implement right now to hit your 2022 revenue goals? What are the top 3? Now, maybe you got a bunch, maybe you only got a few. What is it? What's the top 3 things that you're going to work on? Are you going to go optimize your Facebook ads, really get your videos done and make them look a lot more engaging? So they solicit or elicit an emotional response. Are you going to get a high converting website going? Are you going to ramp up your SEO campaign so you end up in the top 3? Are you going to implement an automated follow-up system so that it takes the work out of following up with your patients, and now they can spend more time with your practice management, I should say, and now the staff can spend more time running the practice and helping you with that process. Whatever it is, make a note of them so that as you start implementing your goals, you can go hit those top 3 things right away, right? It's super critical to go ahead and take action. Really, a goal without action is just a wish, right? A goal without a date is just a wish. We've heard it both ways. So really, if we don't take action, we don't have a plan in place, we're not going to see any change despite what we have learned. So let's build your 2022 marketing plan. This is what it looks like, right? So all of these pieces, your conversion website, conversion optimized website, not some homegrown mom and pop shop website that you do it yourself, build it. We know those might be easy to use, but they don't end up in Google and they don't get you the results that you want. Local SEO, citations, Facebook ad system, and along with Instagram, very popular. TikTok is a killer if you have a little bit of a higher budget and you're looking for maybe a younger audience, maybe athletes and that kind of thing, or that's your demographic. TikTok really is a great strategy, but it's got to be done right or you'll end up wasting a lot of ad spend. So dial that in. Marketing automation, reputation management, conversations. What about investing in a tool that's going to do a lot of that automation for you, right? Using MyDC to tie in all these different messaging platforms so that they all come into one spot, two-way communication. We've given you a little checklist that will help you, or a guide, we call it, pages 17 and 18 in your workbook. Feel free to go ahead and click that, or you can't click the URL, but type in the URL and make sure you download that. Turn to pages 17, 18 of your workbook if you have it already. Start going through and checking those things off, right? One by one. Some of it you may already have done. That's the easy stuff. And then take it a step at a time and start knocking these things out and start working to reach your goals. What about when it comes to budget? We get that question a lot. How much should I spend on marketing? And then they like to base that on how much it costs. Right? Well, the reality is those are two very different things. Your budget and how much a marketing plan costs, two different things. One does not drive the decision for the other, right? The budget is set based on your revenue. If you're familiar with the Small Business Administration, they've said for a long time, as a general rule, small businesses with revenues less than $5 million should allocate about 7 to 8% of their revenues to marketing. That's gross revenues. So if your practice is earning $500,000, set a year, 7 to 8% should be set aside, right, and reinvested back in your company, and then that should be earning you a return. Now, if you have a plan for growth, you may want to run that number up a little bit, increase that budget above 7, 8%, maybe 10%, and start seeing the return on that investment. If your budget is too low, don't expect to grow. It's just not going to happen, right? If you're not spending enough, you're not going to get any return, and you're only wasting your investment. What did you learn? What did you notice? Takeaway. What would you like to share? Put a comment in the chat, and we'd love to talk about that. So anything that you took away from this program today? What was it? Throw it in there. Authentic videos. Very good. Give me 1 minute. I've got some feedback here coming in my window. 1 second.
Yeah, some other things that we have coming in is budget information. It was really helpful. A lot of times people don't know how much they should spend, but hopefully that information helps you to take a real honest look at where you're at. Mike, back to you.
Yeah, Jeff. I wanted to ask you, Jeff. Oh, he left us, but if you want to come back on, they've heard me talk about the things that are my favorites. What are your favorite pieces when it comes to marketing? What do you see as the biggest need for most chiropractors?
For me, it would be that automation. It's something that unless you have a system that's designed to do it, it's almost impossible. You could do some type of paper or maybe some type of Excel or Google Sheets tracking, but it's just not effective. It's still requiring some person, which is time and money, to go in and do the stuff. So I really like the whole workflow automation piece. Everything else, most people could kind of do on their own. It'd be a little bit of investment in time, but that is absolutely killer to having a successful marketing program.
Yeah, thanks. I totally agree with that. I think that one, and probably really putting together an effective ad strategy would be my number 2, because everybody does it, but they don't do it quite right. And it's funny how that difference of being close to right, but then being all the way right, is the difference between getting a patient and not getting a patient. It makes one little thing's out of whack with your ad campaign. It's a done deal. And then, my third thing is probably search engine optimization, right? Because you have to go into the code and dial in your website. And most people have a hard time doing that based on their experience, right? And so even if you try to hire somebody to come in and do that, so that's a web developer, has some kind of experience, you end up paying them as much or more, and they're very limited in what they can do, as opposed to having a team of experts that can do it all for you. So that's those are a couple things that I found. But thanks for your help with that. Landscapers decided to come today, and
I just want to add one other thing in there that I also really like is the fact of being able to have all of those systems, regardless of what they are, work seamlessly together. Because what we found is if one guy's doing the SEO, another guy's doing the website, another guy's doing the ads, it's all gets to be a bunch of finger pointing. Well, if he would do that better, then my thing would work better, and vice versa. But man, just having it all in one bucket, one person to talk to, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so true. And I just bragging a little bit about our team, not us. Jeff and I just do very little when it comes to this. But today we were meeting with a client, and we asked him to rate us. How's it been so far? He's brand new. He's only 3-4 weeks in. And he said, already it's a 10. And so I thought, wow, going from, and he's the one that had, 4 different marketing companies before us that promised him all these things and didn't deliver. I thought, that's great. What a good experience for a doctor to have when they feel like it's a program that works for them. So anyway, we're going to wrap up because we know your time is valuable. So if you haven't already, get the rewards. Feel free to do that. There's a whole bucket list of things in there that will help you manage and plan your marketing program. scan the QR code or go ahead and hit the link, download everything that you want, just take it, use it, implement it into your practice, go through the steps, put it to work for your practice. And that's really the key. If you put it to work, you're going to see the results start to trickle in. Now, as I mentioned at the outset, this was a no pitch program. So we hope you found it valuable, all the different pieces we talked about, helping you dial in your marketing program, getting it run smoothly so that it will bring you results. For those of you, however, that would like to know more about our program, we've talked a lot about it, but for those that don't want a do-it-yourself program, if you're the type of doctor that, you don't have time, desire, you don't have the energy to try to run and manage all these marketing pieces, right? If that's you, if you just want to run your practice and play golf, if you're the type that just wants to work on treatments and doesn't have to mess with all this technology, if you're the type that you feel like you're too busy to learn new software and keep up with the latest strategies, which change every other month, and you really don't want to have to train people to do that and manage them and bring them in and invest in them. If you're the type of doctor who you want a turnkey solution, you want it done for you. You want a team that knows your industry, that has a proven, trustworthy track record. You want somebody that has a program that works and can be implemented, customized for your practice, but overall it just works and it's done for you, gets you a 400% return on investment. Then by all means, stay tuned. We're going to talk about a special offer that we have in conjunction with this webinar. And here it is. So with our special offer, over $5,000 in savings that we're offering to any who book a strategy session pending this program, right? But book that strategy session because you have to sign up by the 25th. So we recommend booking a call with us. Let's see what your goals are, if you're a good fit to work together. If so, you're looking at saving all kinds of money on your marketing program, right? And that $5,000 will help you kind of get off the ground with your initial investment. So that gives us time to set things up, and you're saving that initial funds until you start getting results around the 3rd, 4th week, 5th week, right? So if that's of interest to you, take a note. Here's how you sign up, how to claim your offer, and go to this page, right? go.leadingpractice.com/schedule and click the QR code if you want to do that. Take the time now if you're interested in a done-for-you program, right? You want a company that you want to learn more about our program and how we can help you. Talk about your practice goals. What are you looking to accomplish? Are you wanting to scale? Are you wanting to grow your practice? Are you wanting to open another location, bring on more docs, get your marketing program dialed in? Then by all means, just book a call. It's just a phone call. There's no commitment for this particular meeting at all. It's really kind of a discovery. We get to know you, you get to know us, and we get to both see if we're a good fit to work together. And if we get that feeling at the end of the call, we can talk about perhaps a short-term investment in working together and seeing the results that we're getting for our other clients. So thank you so much for reaching out. I want to give a shout out to our team, not only to Jeff, who did a phenomenal job with his presentation today. Thank you so much, Jeff. Very valuable stuff that you brought. And then also a few other members of our team. We've got Audra and Ed who participated in putting this together for us. Really appreciate you guys and in helping us pull this off this week. So thank you guys so much. And then lastly, we want to offer a shout out to those of you who are not our clients, but have sent a kind response for our work, right? So you're not our client yet. Maybe you will be someday, maybe you won't. But we often get a positive response, right, from docs who say, I'm not ready to sign up yet, but I just want to say thank you for giving me all these tools, right, for putting out all this valuable content and making it available for us. We really appreciate what you're doing for our industry. If you've been a chiropractor for very long, you know that at times the industry can be misunderstood, and they really appreciate us helping docs grow. And so thank you so much for sending those in. It means a lot to us and our team. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Do something great. Give us a call. If you want to make your practice the leading practice, go.theleadingpractice.com/schedule. So go.theleadingpractice.com/schedule. Fill out the form, book a call with me and Jeff. We'd love to speak with you. And otherwise, hope you enjoyed the program. Have a great rest of the day. And we look forward to meeting with you.
We'll see you, everybody.